Hi, and welcome here on Pierosini.com, the wine show. And let me say, quite excited today because I'm here guest at the Tenuta Monteti, which is in Capalbio. You actually know Capalbio. I visited 2 times now, Montevero, which is based here around the village. And my guest today is Paolo Barata. Paolo, nice to have you on my show.
Well, welcome.
You're fine?
Yes, right.
Well, actually, your life is, let's say, it's, you've been working, actually, you come from the economy, you've been a banker, a minister, actually now the president of the Biennial of Venice.
Yes, that's it.
And now you're running a winery.
Well, I mean, after all these things dedicated to the public and the public interest, it was time for me to make something private.
Okay.
And since I've always tried to make excellent things, I too wanted to make my best thing of my life. Wine was a passion since I was young. I mean, because not wine as such, but I've been in my childhood. I spent my childhood among vines and vineyards in Lombardy, and it was very familiar for me. So I decided once when I became 60 years old, I decided that time has come to go back.
Okay.
And to go back to your origins to some extent, and to do well. I found this wonderful place here in Tuscany after having been searching for a while.
So if you've been searching for a place, had the idea to found a winery?
Well, you know, these things don't. You cannot plan everything. When you do start a thing like that, you are moved by an interest, a passion, and then it depends very much on what you find around you. I mean, you have to find a place that somebody wants to sell to you.
Let me ask a question, because when you arrived here at Capalbio,
sheep and goats.
Sheep and goats. So there was nothing.
No, nothing.
So it means Monteti was one of the first wineries built here in this area?
Possibly the first one. The first wine conceived as a high quality winery. I mean, because of course, as everywhere in Italy, you have wine produced at the local level for local consumption. So there has been here also a tradition of wine, which, but at the ordinary sort of production in the countryside. Whereas as first investment, fully fledged investments in with modern technology, I think I've been the first one here. Yes.
Okay, so talking about the wines, I mean, we are located here. It's on the altitude. I mean, we are higher than Montevero. Montevero is more open to the sea.
Here it's from 120, 140 meters on the sea. But what's more is that the Monteti, which is the name of the hill in front of us, that prevents and defends us from the wind of the sea, which is salted.
Okay.
And so Monteti is our protector. So therefore, the name of the property is Monteti. The name of the Tenuta is Monteti. The name of the wine, the first wine, is Monteti.
Okay. Well, and actually, talking about wine, it's like you planted. It was your decision to plant the Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot.
Well, when I first of all, once you have to start a thing like that, you have to have your own specific. I wouldn't say ideas, but I mean aims. And mine was to make a very personal wine.
Okay.
Personal, which means that according to by basic principles, and of a kind that I might consider is personal, which means that I had to listen to the soil first of all, and I didn't on purpose. I didn't plant one single plant of Sangiovese, which is the traditional grape, because I think that's a kind of grape that grows very well beyond 300 meters on the sea.
Yeah.
Whereas here it's a bit hotter and a bit And so we decided, me and the consultant I was with me at the time, we decided to try a certain number of varieties and see what happens. And so the result was that in discussing with the enologist, I asked him a few things. First of all, I want a wine that is balanced, a wine that is not a one shot and then no tail, but on the contrary, a wine that is very elegant, but also that speaks long and talks long. And so you have something that once in your mouth, it starts talking.
Yeah.
Whereas at the time, I mean, the average fashionable wine was exactly the opposite. A wine that immediately comes in, blows in, and then sometimes ends to nothing. So I said, I call this the reverse spoon sort of a process, when nothing at the beginning and then growing and growing and lasting. Second, I wanted a wine that was to some extent really had something to do with the land here, with the flavors and that you find around.
Yeah, many herbs around. You feel that there's a nice, beautiful aroma in the air, right?
Yes, because this is the bushes were natural and wild, and then I asked him I cannot bear sulfites. So I asked the enologist and my people, please do make a wine, particularly work a wine in the more traditional way, with very low sulfites, which was
really challenging, right? Really challenging. Which is
challenging because I mean the traditional way of doing the fashionable way of doing wine a few years ago when I started was micro-oxygenation, micro-oxygenization, and so on and so forth. Well, they said, no, this is certainly not, because anytime you add oxygen, you have to put sulfite to correct the effect of the oxygen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no oxygen at all, and everything has to be reduced and closed, which is more traditional. You have to be very careful, of course, but the people here have to be very careful during the maturation. But in the end, you have that we use 60% sulfite less than the ordinary, and you have a great result of that, that you can drink one single bottle and enjoy it, enjoy the alcohol, but not being hurt by the sulfite.
Well, I'm really curious to taste the wines. Actually, we're going to taste two wines today.
Yes.
It's the first one is Caburnio.
Yes,
which is
Caburnio. It's the wine that we produce in the greatest quantity here. It should be called in the second wine, but as a matter of fact, it's not second to any because my wines are two different wines.
Okay.
So the Caburnio is the name of the name. It was found. I found it reading a Latin book on agriculture. So that's a long story about the name. Okay. But I like the name and I like the U in the name of a wine. I don't know why, but I think that Caburnio makes very much.
A really strong name, right?
It's a name that sounds a bit Latin, a bit Roman, a bit Tuscan. So I like it very much.
Really rural too.
But, so Caburnio is Caburnio, and Monteti is the name of the property.
Okay, so we are going to taste the wines now. So here it is. It's the vintage 08, well, here in the camera, 08 Caburnio. And which varieties are in Caburnio actually? I heard that you use.
Well, it's Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and a relatively high percentage of Alicante Bouschet.
Which is a crossing of Petit Bouschet and Grenache, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So they are all of French origin, although the name Alicante sounds Spanish, but the Alicante Bouschet has nothing to do with Spain.
But it's a variety which is, let's say, adapted to a hot climate, actually.
It's a variety that it comes from varieties that used to be, utilized mainly for giving color to the wine. It comes from.
So the thick skin, huh?
Comes from since it's black inside, it's red inside.
Okay.
It's
quite unusual, right?
Yes, there are varieties who are red inside that were used mainly to give color. In fact, the origin of the Alicante Bouschet was a Teinturier de Chair. The Teinturier de Chair was a variety used in France at the beginning of the 19th century to give color.
Okay.
But for us, that's not the main purpose. Not at all, because we don't need that addition. Well, the Alicante Bouschet brings some spicy flavor and the freshness and the acidity.
Yeah.
Because one of the problems for a good wine, for a red wine, is that you have to balance all possible flavors, all possible sensations with some degree of acidity. The degree of acidity of a red wine is fundamental.
So let's go ahead with,
This is Caburnio.
This is actually, yes, the dark color. It's a deep garnet red color. This is, yes, not huge color, but it's quite brilliant. Well, let's sniff it. I am really curious. Yeah, it's absolutely fragrant. It's a lot of dark berries inside, right?
Yes.
And really spicy, actually.
It has that
slight
spice, which is, which is for me, it's very important because it gives the idea. It really gives the idea of the
area, right?
The area that it comes from.
Yeah, and you can feel, you have the imagination of, like I said before, the rosemary or other herbs. Very great. And fine chocolate and fine coffee aromas underlaid there. Good.
And if you taste it, you will say the degree of acidity is.
Okay, let's taste it. Wow. Super long. It's quite refreshing wine. It's not that dark chocolate blockbuster. It's more like the really vibrant. It's full of berries and some like the sweet chocolate, dark chocolate actually, and great acidity. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Great tannins, which are quite supple, but they have really high quality tannins actually, and it lingers really, long. Okay, so the next wine is Monteti 2007, and what's the difference between 2007 and 8 regarding the vintage? Was 8 hotter, or let's say, which vintage do you prefer? Stupid question, right?
No, with Monteti, in any case, Monteti, we tend to sell it 1 year later than Caburnio, because this is, let's say, a more ambitious wine.
Yeah.
And
which is excuse me, the cepage is different. The grape varieties used here?
The grape varieties are completely different. Let's talk about the grapes first.
Okay.
Because once again, this is a wine that is really the result of a research done on the terroir.
Yeah.
We have discovered that the Petit Verdot gave results of very peculiar good results here.
Yeah.
And so we have been using the Petit Verdot for the first time in the area as the main component of our blend. The Petit Verdot is a variety that is used in Bordeaux at 4-5%.
Yeah, just adding spiciness or something like.
Now, what it adds, it depends very much on where it comes from.
Yeah.
because the Petit Verdot feels very much the terroir and the soil where it's grown.
Okay.
And so for us, the Petit Verdot gives really the structure and the minerality. Because one thing, when I started, I asked to my people, I want to make a wine where you have the fruit. And of course you have to have all possible fruits that the soil gives you, but they have to be more mineral. They are not to be marmalade.
Yeah.
They have to be dried up to some extent through a sense of minerality.
Yeah.
And here the Petit Verdot is doing the job.
So how many percent we have Petit Verdot here?
50, 55.
It's quite high. Why?
Well, it's 10 times the percentage that Petit Verdot is used in Bordeaux,
okay.
Which means exactly what I was saying. That
we are not in Bordeaux,
we are making a wine that is based on the results of the varieties that we get here. And so it's to some extent a Bordeaux renversé, completely renversé, whereas the second very important variety that is here is the Cabernet Franc. The Cabernet Francs give the softness and elegance, and here the Cabernet Franc is particularly good, and the results are particularly good because it can ripe. Whereas the Merlot here tends to be overripe, and we have to balance it, be attentive to that. The Cabernet Franc tends to be not sufficiently ripe in colder climate, whereas in a warm climate, it gets really to full maturity, and it comes as one of the most elegant components of the wine. So, structure and minerality from the Petit Verdot, elegance from the Cabernet Franc that as it comes here.
Okay.
In the middle, the Cabernet Sauvignon that joins and makes the wine all together.
And this wine actually 2007, is this the current vintage on the market now?
Yes, it's a current vintage.
So the aging is like a new French oak, or let me say here?
The aging of the two wines are really very different, in two completely different methods. Whereas the first wine, the Caburnio, we use 50% of barrels, and 50% doesn't go into barrels. And of these 50%, the barrels are 30% new and 70% old. So we keep the wood at a very low degree, at the minimum necessary. For this wine, the wood is important, of course, but we keep it for 14 months, half new, half old barrels. And but I have to say one thing: we age it. The different components, we keep them separated until the end.
Okay.
So the blending comes at the end. So we still have different kind of Petit Verdot, different kind of Cabernet Sauvignon, all along the aging period.
Okay.
So the blending comes at the end, and then the bottle. There is nothing to balance and to fulfill complete the maturation of wine.
I'm saying,
Nothing like the glass.
So you keep the wines, let's say, after they are matured in the barrels, you keep them here in the winery still in bottle?
Which you keep in steel for a while, and then in bottle. And so, we are selling in 2012, we are selling the 2007, which means that it's 5 years old.
This is a good attitude, actually. So it's the color, it's more, it's a little bit more darker, still deep, garnet red colored. Well, let's sniff it. This is, I can describe the wine. It's more profound, actually.
Yes.
It's like really, it's profound. It's more dense to the core. You have more like, more layers of aromas, actually.
It's not an immediate wine as Caburnio is. Caburnio speaks immediately.
Beautiful. It's getting really. It's like changing a lot now during while this 2-3 minutes. It's getting more open, it blossoms more, right?
It blossoms. At the same time, you
Wow, spectacular.
you feel that there is a structure, and you feel that there is this minerality that plays the same role of Alicante in terms of, instead of having acidity, we have some degree of acidity, but this minerality plays the same game of acidity, because it gives you some sort of freshness in the mouth, the mineral aspect of it, and the freshness in the mouth helps you drink and helps you, the pleasure of drinking.
Concentrated, dense to the core, a lot of dark berries, spicy, refreshing acidity, and the tannins are still kind of dusty. It's a big potential in this wine, actually. It's still young, right?
This wine can go on
many years.
Yeah, many years.
I think this was the aim also, right?
Yes.
To have a wine who can mature.
To have a wine that is made for those who really like wine.
Wow.
And not to those who just want to be impressed by wine.
Yeah.
Those who want to understand. And this means that when you drink this wine, one of the pleasure you find is that you feel that it will be even better in 10 years' time. And this is one of the one of the pleasure you can get.
Yeah, I would say that this wine, in this stadium, when I taste it now, I would give it to live. Well, it's to be serious, like more 25, 30 years, something like this. It's maybe more, I don't know. But, the acidity, the tannins, they are really present, but there's still enough fruit and sweetness of the fruit, which will balance this tannins and acidity. Well, Paolo, I'm really happy that you had time for me, for my friends, yeah. And well, maybe I hope we can revisit you next year to taste the new vintages. And I wish you everything best for the.
Thank you.
Yeah?
And if I just may add the final word, as I told you, there is nothing but the bottle to get your wine improving through time, so glass, and at the same time there is nothing but the glass to give him room and to give him a way of coming out and getting alive and getting open and open up. You have, of course, to open the bottle half an hour before, at least. You can use decanters, but decanters, the glass. And the glass as an open glass.
Yeah.
And when you pour it, the wine, that comes from a situation in which he has been kept closed because of the reasons I told you before, then the glass is the place where he becomes great.
Final ad. Okay, thanks a lot, and I hope you get that, and well, I hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next clip.